the record button. My name is Dr. Romie Mushtaq, as they know me at Evolution Hospitality, they're homie Dr. Romie. I'm a board certified physician in the fields of neurology, which is a brain doctor, and integrative medicine, which is the science of wellness. And I bring together the two worlds of brain science and mindfulness and holistic health to help brain and mental health of individuals and teams and companies. So if you've been on this journey with us the last couple of years, you know we've gone all tech and all virtual, like so many teams had to. And the idea was how could I help our companies that hire us and our individual community members? Many of you are coming from organizations that we've spoken to, help you with actual stress management. Like, I get hired and the last thing anybody in our community wants to hear is, oh girl, just eat some berries and breathe and everything is going to be just fine. I mean, you've been on those webinars and I've been on those wellness webinars where everyone's like, let's just breathe and let's put some extra berries in your milkshake. And we just all kind of give side eye going, if you only knew what's happening in my house in the new year. So this is my new home office. You can see I'm not even set up yet. Things are on the floor. And I was nervous this morning and I thought, you know what? If you've been on my global master classes before from my home, you know, we just kind of show up real. Like, I'm not completely dressed in my house slippers, things on the floor. And I thought that's kind of a really good analogy of how things feel at the beginning of 2022, right? Am I alone? Like December 31st, 2021, some of us may have had our holiday plans derailed. You may not have. We're dealing with another surge, all, you know, depending where you are in the world, but most places. And life isn't quite the same. In fact, I was not even supposed to be doing this masterclass today. I was supposed to be traveling for 2 different speaking engagements this week that they have been postponed. So here we are. And yet busy brain prevails and pandemic brain. Are you kind of just finding yourself going, is this going to be the place that Romie gives me some stress management techniques? I kind of really got annoyed. How about you? Type yes in the chat if you got annoyed. It seemed like December 1st, we had barely started Hanukkah and Christmas and New Year's, and weight loss ads were coming. And everyone's like, no, just give me a few $100s. That's all. Were you annoyed by that? I was getting annoyed, right? And it started at Halloween. Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one. It just felt like it was everywhere. And Christy, you too. And I didn't want that. And if you've been a part of our 8-week workplace wellness program that we either gave to the public or that we give to companies, like, I have a solution. And so chances are you're here because you've already clicked the Nourish download. If not, I'm going to put it. Yeah, it just unnecessarily started so easy. And I thought, you know what? Before you buy any weight loss program or exercise equipment or app that you're not going to use, what could I do as a gift to all of you? We love, my entire team, we love our global brainSHIFT community. Normally on these calls, I think because of the time right now, we typically have people calling in from Europe, people watching replays from Asia, Australia. I really care and love for you all. And I'm thankful to most of you. It's been your companies or organizations or associations that have brought me in to share brainSHIFT. So I wanted to share today what we could do to start nourishing ourselves in the new year and just really do it from a place of what am I doing for myself and our organization and what I'll be introducing at Evolution Hospitality, because maybe 2022 didn't quite start out the way we all had hoped it had. And yet we have to continue. If you're a part of our global brainSHIFT community, you are a person just like me. You unapologetic, type A, success-driven professional. None of us want to be told to slow down, or we're going to run over you with our designer shoes, even if they're designer slippers. I mean, am I right? So I'm not here to tell you to slow down or any of that. I just want to give you the brain shifts or the biohabits. If this goes well and we get good feedback, my goal is to continue at minimum free monthly global brainSHIFT calls on the different topics that are coming to us. I just wanted to start the new year off as an antidote to all of that chaos that's out there. I'm not here selling anything to you today. The programs we're giving you are the things we typically, give our corporate clients inside of our wellness speaking packages, virtual and that. If in the end you want to work with me one-on-one, I'll give you an option to schedule a coaching time, because we always get those calls. But really my goal is you leave here with just one next step until you come back next month. Does that sound like a good? That's my intention for the next 25 minutes. So 30 minutes, you'll be done, because I know most of you probably have other browser windows open. You may have kids at home, whatever's going on, no problem. We will send out the replay, but let's get started. Oh yeah, Christy. Yes. Oh, we had so much fun with the Healthcare Business Women's Association. Yes, Christy, loved it. And I hope to come back this year and in person so I can hug all of you. I could feel your virtual hugs. And so thank you to all. We've got people from Evo here, Aimbridge, hello. I've got, I think some folks from the Blank Rome Women's Summit, just so thankful for you all. So really, thank you so much. And if you don't know me by now, if you've been on our Busy Brain global master classes before, Romie love her a slide deck. So we can't go anywhere without a slide deck. So just bear with me and we're going to do this together. So give me 1 second. I'm kind of here manning the tech myself, and we're going to get started today. So welcome to Nourish. And the idea was, what is one step I could give you to help your mind and your body and your spirit without making you buy a diet or a new exercise bike or treadmill, right? And I want you to know my guiding principle always in the brainSHIFT Institute. It's we cannot rebuild our relationships or businesses without first getting the state of our brain straight. And I know that firsthand. I've not really had a break the last few weeks. Family plans were in upheaval and we had tech issues and I was kind of left to handle it, right? And I knew I had to take care of myself and nourish myself, because the week I didn't, it was really hard to get things done. In case you need a reminder or you've never been here with me before, I wanted to talk about what our work is all about and what we have found in the pandemic, giving stress tests to over 17,000 people. Many of you have taken the Busy Brain test, and I will drop it here in the chat in case you want an updated score or you don't know what your Busy Brain score is. We give your brain a score so you know right now, as of the last 7 to 10 days, where is your brain? We just put the link in there. It's this idea that, do you wake up and you're like, girl, don't even talk to me. I need some mega caffeine. Or you get your caffeine, maybe your doctor is giving you Adderall or Ritalin. That's really common here in the United States, no judgment. And yet you're still having difficulty focusing, right? Raja is shaking his head and his whole body up and down right now. He knows I have that. I mean, how many screens do you have in front of you right now? I have 2 and 2 phones. And how many browser windows are open on each of those screens, right? And then you do that and you start getting into one project because I've done this, let's brain shift. What is the one task I'm going to focus on in the next 15 minutes? And yet you're in anxious analysis paralysis, right? So that is what Busy Brain is. And Air Medical Conference, Lori, it was such an honor to meet you all. You have racing thoughts at bedtime and disturbed sleep. And that's gotten worse, or pandemic brain. And that's where we are. And you always hear me say, your brain is not a bulletin board. We have got to stop throwing things at it. And that's where I want to help you with brainSHIFT, get boundaries. So what we're going to go over today are aspects that are inside our 8-week workplace wellness program called the brainSHIFT protocol, which we will release to the public again, this year. So what it is and what I want to go through right now of what's going on in the new year is there's this chronic stress that's been happening from the last 2 years of the pandemic. None of us are immune. Between the news cycle, changes in your work, changes in your family dynamic, it's just chronically there. And then all of us have spent more time in front of screens, right? Lori, thank you for those of you from the Air Medical Conference. I mean, you all are working like extra hours at the front lines in healthcare as air ambulance, like in staffing shortages right now in a pandemic. Like, God bless you all, right? And so that chronic stress response has really shut us down. And our circadian rhythm, or HPA axis, hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, is causing hormonal imbalances. And when I talk hormones, I'm not just talking testosterone, estrogen, progesterone. I'm talking all 50 hormones that govern your entire brain and body function, right? And that's kind of what we do. So this is that link again. It's in the chat. I'm just going to blow past this. You know, if you're less than a 30, you can still get some steps here on Nourish and some maybe weight tips. But most of us are at 31 to 40, which is a mild busy brain, or in burnout. 41 to 70 or 70 above is at burnout. And that's what I wanted to help today with. So the link is in the test. If the link didn't come through at Busy Brain Test, and thank you, Cindy, for putting it in there for me. And so what I wanted to cover today was to give you one step, not all three of these, one step and where to start from, okay? For most of us, if your score is above a 40, or you just kind of ended up in the new year going, I'm overwhelmed, it doesn't feel like a new year, I feel stuck, I don't even know where to start with my wellness goals, I wanted to give you our scientifically based nutrition program. One of my clients and a fellow female founder entrepreneur, they did the 5-day gut reset and she lost 10 pounds. And they've continued to eat healthy. It plateaued, but she says, we've never felt better. And it helped me to go back and focus on, scaling her business. And I really wanted to help you do that. If you need a quick reset to get out of all of the holiday comfort food and stress eating, we're going to also talk about how to nourish your mind and calm a busy brain one step, and to nourish your spirit and find joy in the middle of chaos. But that was what I wanted to do. So we always start with this and this reminder, like, hey, Romie, what does brainSHIFT mean? brainSHIFT is what is one small action you can take that can change the entire ecosystem of your brain power, your memory, your mood, your physical health, your weight, your hormones, and how you feel, like joy and hopeful. Like, what's one thing I could give you? And so when you're inside the whole program, we address your sleep, your hormones, inflammation, food and fuel technology. Today, I'm going to focus on the gut reset. And I wanted to explain how this works, right? When we have a busy brain, I think you've heard me from HBA, from Air Medical, from all of the different associations, that we've talked a lot about sleep. Today, I'm shifting to your daytime energy. And that's what this Nourish Reset was about. And Cindy, you're here, and I so appreciate you. While people are taking their busy brain test or retaking it, we'll drop in the link for you to download. I think a lot of you were on the email and you clicked that Nourish guide. I was going to give you some additional tips today for that. But why do I do that? When we have a busy brain, we basically are like, what can I do for a quick dopamine hit? I need energy. Where's that coffee? Or we get, we touch our phone and that gives us a dopamine high that somebody liked your Instagram post, or you got an email response back from a colleague. That's what you wanted to hear. Whatever it is, it gives you this like dopamine adrenaline hit, or the cookies that you heard me eating last week by the box full. We love you, Girl Scouts. And you get this quick high, but then you get this quick fall in energy. And that's why you feel so physically drained. Because this is what pandemic brain is doing to us. You're like, how much more can I take? Another surge in the news, and then all the other toxic news things that are going on worldwide. And I'm not minimizing what's going on in the world. I'm just saying there's only so much we can take. It strains our hormones. So what happens during the day? We lose focus. And in order to survive, our brain and our body surges cortisol, and then our blood sugar, changes. And now we have a lower threshold to tolerate stress. So it's kind of like, something goes wrong in a meeting online, or, your dog starts barking in the middle of a presentation and knocks over the light, which almost happened here, right? We have lower threshold to tolerate stress, or we lose focus. We deplete energy, and what happens? We need another dopamine hit. So you're like, let me go back and log back onto Facebook, or let me eat another cookie, or let me, do that thing. And this is how we stop nourishing ourselves and we deplete ourselves. And that's what's happening to energy and focus during the day. I know I have smart people. I always want to go in the science. So when that stress and that hormone surge happens. We get a spike in our blood sugar and our brain circuits break down. We actually start getting the patterns of adult onset attention deficit disorder. So you're like, I'm not sure I had ADHD as a kid, or this isn't me. Adult onset ADD is something that we're seeing and renaming because of all the time that adults spend in front of digital devices. And as the pandemic goes on, we know it's worse. We can't pay attention. It's hard to focus. We're frazzled, right? That's what's happening. It's our internal stress hormone and sugar levels. And then what happens? You have a moment like I did. Is anybody else like this? That there's some kind of, sugar, alcohol, you need something, your blood sugar levels spike and you get the dopamine and you feel comforted, whatever trauma cycle's going. And then what happens? Insulin, blood sugar drops, and you go back. And that's why we created Nourish, right? That whole, this is your brain on drugs, right? Commercial. Gen Xers will get the reference. The rest of you are like, what is Auntie talking about this week, right? So really, if you've been in brainSHIFT, I basically ask you to stop the white sugar, white flour, white potatoes, and combining it with caffeine. That is like one of the most dangerous things you could do. So if you came to this call and in the last few days, you've had a lot of carbs that are white potatoes, white sugar, white flour, I'm not judging you. I'm just going to ask you, could you stop taking caffeine with it for at least an hour? Before and after. That's it. But most of you are here, and I'm going to stop the share so I can pull up the Nourish PDF. Most of you are here because we wanted to talk about the Nourish Gut Health program. So I wanted to go through it and then take your questions, right? If you downloaded it, and Cindy just put the link in there for you now, you get a ebook from us. This is the foundation of the in-depth kind of gut cleanse that we put people on for a busy brain. Literally, we know, and I'm not going to get into it all here now unless you want more details later, is our stress and our busy brain is affecting the hormones of our gut, and we get a leaky gut and it's hard to digest foods. You may getting more bloated when you eat. You may have dieted and you're like, I'm not losing weight. I used to lose weight on intermittent fasting or keto or Whole30. I'm having a hard time sticking to it, right? So we basically said to do a 5 to 7 day gut cleanse. In as early as 48 hours, your gut bacteria, the bad gut bacteria, can die off and the healthy ones can start to grow. You give it 5 to 7 days, and not only will your gut feel better, but so will your busy brain. And this is where your energy comes back and you're not feeling as frazzled or stuck anymore, right? If you're stuck in your gut, you're stuck in your brain and you're stuck in your gut, So here I list the foods that I want you to avoid. Okay. And so foods that, are maybe for some are here, I'm sorry, I didn't write the foods here to avoid. I wrote the foods to eat. Yeah, I'm sorry. Let me just say that over again. Here are the foods that are an example that will fight the bad bacteria and the busy brain and the busy gut, because they calm down the gut and they're going to calm down everything in your brain as well. And it happens really fast. I did a reset after last week and falling off the bandwagon, and I'm on day 2.5 right now, and I'm already feeling better, right? Caffeine is iffy for some people. You're going to have to test that, is what I wanted to do. So I wanted to go because and I go over leaky brain in detail here, everything that I'm talking about and why you get bloated and why you can't do it. But here were some quick facts that I wanted you to do is drink a lot of water. You hear that often. If you're not into drinking water, that was one of the questions we got via email a lot. Add a little bit of fruit juice to it to add some flavor if you want, or flavor it with any of those flavoring that's based in stevia, but no Splenda or NutraSweet or Equal in it. Okay. And then here are some additional supplements I'm not selling. You can find them on Amazon. You can ask me in Q&A. I will tell you which ones, but a vitamin B complex during the day for an energy boost, a bone broth, that you can buy. There's a brand in most grocery stores or on Amazon called Kettle and Fire that I love, and some collagen powder. It'll keep you full and it kind of speeds up the healing of a leaky gut and a leaky brain. But here was the grocery list. And before you start putting things on Instacart or Amazon groceries or Target groceries, however you're getting your groceries, I want you, step one of Nourish Cleanse, and all you may do this week is to look to see which of these things are already in your refrigerator, freezer, and in your pantry. Okay. And then here's my one step. I'm going to take a drink to tell you how it's done. I do not want you to eat any food on this list that gives you green emoji face, right? The ugh, yuck. Okay. If you're like my brother Faraz, who's a cardiologist down in South Florida, the thought of cooked kale and spinach for some reason just turns his stomach. Raw is even worse. So when he sees a cleanse like this, his brain automatically narrows on, oh my God, she put spinach and kale on this. I'll never do this. But notice how many other things are in the vegetables list, right? And in the fruit list other than kale and spinach. So the whole idea about Nourish is pick the things you like. So pick something from the vegetables or fruits at every meal and pick something from the protein. So, and then this is not, let me repeat myself, this is not a low carb diet. This is a slow carb or a healthy carb diet. So if you want to do rice flour or brown rice, quinoa, steel cut oats, right? Any of those. Yes, slow carbs. Yeah, thank you. Slow carbs that are slower to digest so they don't kind of peak your blood sugar. And all of that is in Nourish. And so I'm going to give you an example of what I did quickly. We've had back-to-back meetings today and I was getting ready for you all today. So an example that I did quickly for lunch is I get the coleslaw bags, which is cabbage with really good prebiotic and carrots in there. And my stomach has a little bit of a harder time digesting raw vegetables. And if you've been eating bad or stressed, you're going to have that same thing. I actually stir fry the coleslaw raw and kind of make it like with teriyaki sauce or soy sauce or oil or whatever. And I chopped up tofu and I put it in the air fryer. And I kind of had this like Asian lunch. And I had some gluten-free rice crackers with it just to have some quick carbs with it too, right? And I'm still energized after all of that. I didn't need coffee today. So a protein, some vegetables or fruits. So guess what's on this list is avocado toast. If you want, and I remember somebody emailing me, could I have avocado toast? Yeah, if you got like the Ezekiel bread or the, whole grain, 7-grain bread, for most of us, we can tolerate eggs. I take it out. But if you need eggs in the morning to keep going and get the healthy fat, please do that, right? So for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, take something from the vegetables and fruits here, take something from the meat. And again, if you're vegetarian, vegan, their tofu, beans are just fine. Those meatless products like Beyond Beef or Impossible Beef are just fine. And then kind of add that in, right? And you're doing this for just 5 days. On average, people lose 3 to 5 pounds. If you're, more than 200 pounds, people typically lose more. You lose belly bloating. And that's why I said, before you buy a weight loss program, do this gut reset, because what is it going to do? It's going to do you a bigger favor. You're turning the bad bacteria in your gut and in your brain to healthy bacteria. And it calms the inflammation. And all of a sudden, you're going to feel more energy. And I mean, honestly, who doesn't need that joyful boost that we feel a little better when we like kind of, our pants or dresses are fitting again, or our yoga pants aren't so tight, right? So I want to stop here and answer any other questions. I tried to cover the few questions that we got via email and social media about the Nourish Cleanse that's here for you. Just 5 days and continue to 7. And then slowly add foods back. And kind of the goal is you're going to see the sugar cravings or fried food cravings or candy cravings, alcohol cravings should calm down after 5 to 7 days. So that's the whole goal, is to just do a reset. Any questions so far about the Nourish cleanse? Oh, I'm so glad you love avocado toast, Kim. I do too. I do too. And we can make it at home. I mean, it's never as fancy as those places when you go to Sunday brunch, but it'll do. Has anybody looked up that phenomenon? Okay, I'm not on TikTok, whatever it is, but the pesto eggs and the spicy eggs challenge, it got popular on TikTok, and now it's all over YouTube and it's all over Instagram too. In our follow-up email when I sent out the recording of this video, I'll send it off. It's my favorite thing to do. You take a couple spoons of pesto, so you're getting a healthy olive oil and flavors. You crack fried eggs in it and you just cook it in that. Oh, it's so good. And then you slide that onto the avocado toast. I mean, like, I'm hungry right now. I'll probably make that for dinner. So try that version of avocado toast. Yeah. Yeah, 5 days, Jen, absolutely. It's just doable. And, weight loss isn't even my main goal for you. My main goal is, has pandemic caused a busy brain, right? That pandemic brain. What's one way I can help you? Most of you have been in my lectures. We've gone through the sleep. We will launch a 21-day sleep challenge probably at the end of this quarter or next quarter with all of our global brainSHIFT community. But right now, I just wanted to do something that was easy, that could get us all unstuck. And now what happens if you have a week like I did last week? I was like 3-4 days into it, and then life got stressful and the cookies started to come, right? And those were fast carbs or high glycemic carbs, not slow carbs, right? If that happens, just be compassionate with yourself. And when you're ready, and whatever that stressor was, for us, it was just a tech nightmare. It was team members out of the office for various reasons. Like, everything came crashing down last Monday. I was like, I'll just start all over again in a few days. So be gentle with yourself, but 5 days is doable. And start with the food that you already have in your refrigerator, freezer, and pantry. Chances are they're things you like. And if there are vegetables or meats on there that you don't like, then don't eat those, right? So fruit and vegetable, a protein, and a slow carb on there. Are probiotics important, Lisa? And then I'll talk about the protein powder. Okay, great. Probiotics are not key. A lot of the foods that are on there have prebiotics in it. For me, prebiotics are more important right now than probiotics. And here is why. If you're not already on a probiotic, don't start one until you're finished with this 5 to 7 day cleanse, because chances are, if on the busy brain test you scored above a 40, the busy brain that we talk about, that inflammation in your brain, is causing inflammation through your vagus nerve to your gut. And how do you know that? Are you having a harder time digesting foods? Do you have acid reflux? Do you get bloated when you eat raw vegetables or dairy or a certain food group like gluten, right? Have a little bit more gas. You're like, ooh, the food belly, right? As they say. If that's happening, I know you have a lot of unhealthy or bad bacteria in your gut. I just want you to do this. There are prebiotics that are already in this food list for you. I mentioned one today: cabbage, garlic, onions. A lot of these things, adding fiber, anything with fiber in it. So there are foods in there like apples that'll add fiber, or, quinoa, chia seeds. Adding fiber will help. And those are the prebiotics that kind of set up your gut so that the healthy bacteria could grow. Here's the analogy I use about probiotics. I live in Orlando, which is Disney World and Universal Studios and SeaWorld, right? A lot of the United States economy depends on how well Florida and California are doing with their tourists. So probiotics are like the tourists that are coming to the state. But what happens if all the rides at Disney World and the attractions at SeaWorld and Universal are closed? Then the tourists are going to come and there's nowhere to spend money, and the word is going to get out and they're going to stop coming, right? That's exactly when you have a busy brain and you have a busy gut with it. That's what happens when you take probiotics. It's like the tourists coming and the rides are all closed. And for many people, that's why when you take a probiotic, you may get loose stools or even a worsening upset stomach. So adding a probiotic, unless you're already on one, don't add one now. The prebiotics or digestive enzymes, the bone broth, the collagen, are actually more than enough right now. Can I talk about protein powder, Elaine? Yes. Protein powder is just fine. I'm finding that I'm for one of my meals, and I'm typically doing it at night, so I'm not eating as much at night. That helps me. Whoops, my little light over here is falling again. Busy brain moment. Is getting a protein powder that does not have whey or whey isolate in it. So that's most of the protein powders that are out on the market. Now, Isopure, I think, is one that is just soy. It should be without whey, but otherwise find the easiest thing right now to do is to find a vegan or a vegetarian protein powder so that you're not getting the whey, which is dairy in there. That's going to be inflammatory. And I just want to give your gut a rest. Dairy is not bad for everyone. We have to test it. But for right now, for the reset, I'd like you to do that. So can I recommend a couple of brands, Elaine, if that's okay? I'm not a brand ambassador for any company, but Vega, VEGA, I'm going to put that here in the chat, is one brand I like. And I think it's called Thrive. They have a good collagen powder and a protein powder. I'm going to look that up. I can see it's like a turquoise blue can in my cupboard right now. But that's a couple things. Does that help answer about the probiotics and the protein powder? So again, I don't want you to start this by having to get a really expensive list of supplements from Amazon or groceries. I want you to start by shopping in your own kitchen, because trust me, there are things that are like, is this freezer burn that are on the back of the freezer that you could cook and that are going to be just fine, right? So we have this rule with our Indian cooking and spices, like you can resuscitate anything out of the freezer with enough spices and ghee. How do I incorporate powder into foods and meals? That's a really good idea. So collagen powder that has no flavor in it won't alter the taste. It may alter the bulk. So what I often do is I will add a little collagen powder when I am cooking quinoa or oatmeal, steel cut oats, or you can add a little collagen powder if you make a soup or a bone broth. Bone already has it. You can add a little more. And if you're getting bone broth, throw some vegetables in there and make it a soup or chicken or whatever you like to have, even beef in your, if you're a beef eater, a meat eater, no problem on this, right? So I don't want you to be punished. That's one way. For a protein powder, listen, I go for easy. What can I do to throw it in the blender? I throw in 1 scoop of protein powder. I love oat milk. It makes it like a dessert. These days I'm using bananas and mangoes in the morning and chia seeds. So I'm making it feel like a dessert. So any kind of fruits, you can throw in a little bit of kale and spinach if you want, and protein powder and ice and water and oat milk and that. And if you want, if not, chia seeds, and add a little coconut oil, so a little healthy fat in there. So that's 2 different ways to use protein powder and to use collagen. If you Google or go on Pinterest, there are a lot of other creative ways to use protein powder, like in the microwave to make some kind of cookie or brownie, to make pancakes out of it. I've somehow not had that much luck in the kitchen. So if anybody has a good recipe in the microwave or to make protein powder based pancakes here without white flour, please pop it in the chat. But I'm not so gifted to do that. So yeah, I hope that helps. So that's it, 5 days. So I know we've gone a little bit over. I wanted to take questions. Type in yes in the chat if I can keep going, because I know I promised 30 minutes, but I just wanted to go really quickly on how to kind of shut out the chaos in the world. And if you need to go, we'll send out the recording as well. But I so appreciate all of you that are here. It's so lovely to see you. Okay, keep going. Okay, back to my favorite slide deck. Let me do that here. Wrong slide deck. So let me just open the one that I had. Okay. So we kind of talked about the Nourish program. That alone will get your brain and your gut unstuck, right? And it should not cause loose stools when you do this nutrition program too. So that's the one thing I always want to be. Another bonus thing was to add healthy fats to every meal. We kind of went over them, but fish, avocado, olive oil, nuts, eggs with the yolk, or dark chocolate, like all of that is a bonus to add, right? But I kind of also wanted to say, like, were you feeling a little down as you started the new year? Kind of like, here we go again with the surge, right? Holiday plans. We all know people that may have gotten sick with Omicron. Business plans are gone awry. Like, I'm feeling very sad that I'm not in California seeing our colleagues at Evolution Hospitality, where I'm chief wellness officer for our monthly connect meeting. We're virtual yet again, like the third year now that we're starting this, right? And that kind of robs you of your joy. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit. I talked about this at the beginning, but I really wanted to ask you to give yourself grace. I don't think there's anybody here that doesn't have a sense of pandemic brain, right? What is pandemic brain? In my neurology world, and we're going to send out articles in the subsequent weeks to go over it, we do talk about if you've been infected with the COVID-19, the SARS-2 virus, long haulers disease, there's this entire separate entity of neurological and psychiatric symptoms happening in about 35% of people. But pandemic brain is everyone. It's this combination of we've been in stress, we're completely using tech way too much, we're socially isolated, and we're in this emotional roller coaster, right? And that's creates pandemic brain. And you're like, how do I brain shift out of this? Like, what if you came to this and you're like, I did the 5-day cleanse, sure, I lost weight, but I still feel overwhelmed and stuck. I wanted to anchor you back in this one hope holders exercise. I think every night I will say, just in candidness, and I talk about myself because I know some of your stories and I don't want to share them without your permission. But it's been a tough 4 weeks. I moved into a new place, tech issues, team members out, for various reasons, family members, they're sick, family plans went awry. And it was easy to feel stuck and overwhelmed, right? And I think the one thing I got through was, what do I hope for tomorrow? And what do I hope for in this year? If you've hung around me long enough, I am not against whatever your vibe is in the new year, whether you do resolutions, you do goals, planning on your wheel of life, you do a word of the year, because it tells me you still have hope. But if you feel stuck and sad and in pandemic brain, I think the first place I'll ask you to do is anchor back in hope. So as you sit here, and if you feel like sharing in the chat, go ahead and do that. Like, what's one hope in your life? Like, my hope is that we continue to scale brain shift at work this year, and we take our 8-week program to more companies and associations. We're so excited. Like, that is something that keeps me going when the tech is driving me mad. I hope for that. In my personal life, I hope that now that I'm not traveling as much, I have time to have a second chance at love. I'm divorced. So that's me candidly telling you what my hope is for my life that'll keep me going, right? And why is that important? Because this idea of when I hope, it's creating a brain shift in your mind, that above all the pandemic stress, you're saying, I'm raising above the noise in my brain. And notice that I said, what do you hope for in your life? So if your first thing was, I hope my child gets to go to senior prom, or I hope my child gets into their dream college, or I hope my husband or wife or partner gets a promotion. No, I'm going to go back. What do you hope for in your life? It could be work, it could be your relationships, it could be health, right? Yeah, friends and family popped into your head first. I said your life. Because when you focus on other people's life, you're robbing yourself first of hope and joy. So I want you to anchor back, like, what would give you joy if it happened this year? I told you my 2 things, and you could just see, if you're watching the recording, the smile that goes on my face. I hope to meet someone this year and have a second chance at love. Do you see that? It's just like a smile on your face is a smile in your brain and a smile on your gut. Absolutely, right? And if you're having a little bit more trouble coming up with it because it feels too airy-fairy, I get that a lot. What do you want to become this year? What do you want to achieve? Whether it's your health, your finances, your relationship status, or in your job. What do you want to become? What do you want to achieve? So to use me as an example, I would like to become a life partner with someone. What do I hope to achieve? We're hoping to achieve and double the number of teams and corporations we take our 8-week workplace wellness brain shift to, right? And then Okay, so Glenn, thank you for saying that you can handle depression. Absolutely. I'm going to give you an example, Glenn. So when you have something that you hope for, I'm going to ask you, who are your hope holders? And I want you to ask 3 people to hold hope for. So if you're not depressed, Glenn, what would you be instead? So I'm hoping, as one of your hope holders, I will personally be your hope holder, Glenn. My intention, my hope for you is that you heal your depression. And what do you become when depression is healed? So, I told you, and so Kim wrote here, I hope to have a less stressful job. So that's the negative, right? My negative is I don't want to be single. My positive is I have a life partner. I have a second chance at love. So what is it that you want to achieve or become that is in the positive for hope? So to use an example, Cindy is here saying, I want to stay safe, and she wants to travel this summer. And I know that's international travel. She won't mind me saying that. So that's a positive. Or Romie wants to meet a life partner, right? So Jen, or no, Kim, you wrote a less stressful job. What would the alternative be? A job that gives you energy, that you feel passionate about. I don't want to put words in your mouth. So you do that. And Glenn, what would you be if we got your depression under control? And then Jen says you want to, 2022 travel plan. So that's a great thing. So Jen, I'm going to use you for an example while I give Glenn and Kim a chance to reset here and think, what could you be if your job wasn't stressful or you weren't depressed, right? So, okay, I love that, Kim. I want a new job with great benefits that allows you to spend time with your family. Yes. Okay. So Jen wants to travel. Kim wants a new job that allows benefits and spend time with your family. I'm going to be your personal hope holder. I know somewhere in our registration process, I have your emails, or if you don't mind privately sending it to me and the panelist, I will email you to remind you. And then I'm going to ask you to find 2 other people in your life. So at any time when your job gets stressful, Kim, or Jen, you're worried about not being able to travel because the news is really bad about the pandemic and another variant or surge, I want you to reach out to one of us hope holders, and reach out to me, Jen, and social media. That's me responding to you all in LinkedIn messages and Instagram DMs, by the way, not a social media team member. It's me personally. Reach out. And I'm going to say, I hope for you, Jen, that you are keeping your travel plans this year. And Kim, I am one of your hope holders. And I hope for you that you have a job that gives you great benefits and you have time for your family. And anyone can be a hope holder for me, right? Right back there. Can you hope for me that one of these cycles I come back going, hey, I met someone. I got a second chance at love. I have a life companion, right? I want you to find 2 other people. And when you start worrying and your head starts spinning of, how am I going to get out of this job? I'm so busy. How do I find a new job? Or look at the news. I should cancel these airline reservations. I want you to talk to the people in your life that'll say, I hope for you that your travel plans are going to continue. I believe that for you. I believe that for you, Kim, that you are going to DM me. You have a new job. It is done, right? I hold hope in my heart that you have a new job, Kim. I hold hope in my heart, Glenn, that you wake up happy and full of energy. I hold in my heart, Jen, that you have your travel plans. I hold in my heart, Cindy, that you are traveling internationally next summer with some well-deserved time off, right? And so that's what I'm here to do. And that's how we nourish our spirit, is anchor back into hope. So this is your other exercise. I want you to write down, what do you want to become? What can you achieve? And then ask 2 people to hold that hope for you. And that's how we begin to nourish our spirit. I mean, just this, have you noticed, for those of you that didn't participate, but you're silently listening, like, where the heck is Dr. Romie going with this? How do you feel listening to us holding hope for Kim and Jen? Do you feel a little bit hopeful too? I hope you're feeling hopeful that, like, girl, Romie, you'll find love again. Cindy, you'll get to travel internationally, right? How do you feel just listening to the hopes of others? Like, it puts a smile to your face, doesn't it? I hope internally there. And that's what it is. And we got you. Absolutely. And so that's how you nourish it. I just wanted to share this. If you're like, hey, Romie, I'm feeling stuck and I missed out working with you in brainSHIFT, or we were there, and I need a step. You want additional guidance for your health issues, what to do with nutrition, your supplements, talking about setting a one achievable health goal for this year, for this quarter. Please reach out. I am offering, because we've had so many people emailing, we sent out this Nourish email and we had people emailing questions. And if it's a simple answer, I'll give it to you here. I'll give it to you on social media, but often it's very complex with your health issue. I'm putting in a link for you. You can click it and book a coaching session with me. We've cut my coaching price in half, and for the new year, you get an hour with me. You get a recorded session just like this. That's one-on-one with a personalized plan of what is one brain shift I want you to do. If there's supplements we need to tweak, something in your nutrition, something in your circadian rhythm, your 24-hour cycle, I will give you that thing to do so that you're like, yes, I started off 2022 doing something healthy. I brain shifted. So it's there. We will send it out in a link with a replay. And with that, a reminder that, like, we can't heal our jobs, our businesses, our relationships without first getting the state of our brain straight. And we have talked a lot in the last year or two together about your sleep and that. So today I wanted to kind of set the stage of what could you do during the day. A 5-day reset, extend it to 7 if you want, and then go back to eating what you enjoy. And your gut bacteria will feel better. Most people lose weight and belly bloating, and you just start feeling better physically. But most of all, it helps to reset the gut, leaky gut and leaky brain, or the pandemic gut and the pandemic brain. It's all tied in. So that was my goal for today. But if you kind of felt overwhelmed or down, because a lot of us have this year, I hope you'll try the Hope Holders exercise and nourish yourself with that one step, and ask 3 people to hold that hope for you and hold it for each other. My intention is to have these global master classes once a month. Come back and stay tuned for other programming that we'll be giving and offering to your companies and to you individually. And with that, I'm just going to stop the recording, and then at this point,